Your thoughts on how this is going to play out when it comes to the American consumer? Natural gas, heating oil, they're both up. Natural gas is actually what 50% of U.S. households use to heat their home in the winter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're all feeling the effects of 2 years of the Biden administration's energy policies. And as your previous guest just said, this is the most expensive people have paid for gas on this holiday. Food prices are the highest they've been, et cetera. So what we wanted to do with this roadmap is we wanted to tell the House of Representatives, at least, you do have some power.
That was Power the Future founder and CEO Daniel Turner. He's issuing a roadmap for the GOP to boost U.S. energy security when they take control of the chamber next year. Joining me now is Republican Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, good afternoon to you, and it's nice to see you. I mean, this has been a huge issue in this country since Joe Biden has taken office. Energy policy has been completely turned upside down, and Americans are suffering the consequence of that.
No, Jackie, you're absolutely right. You know, one of the things that startled me was the leasing on federal lands is down 97% from the first 19 months of the Trump administration, which is really remarkable. And we have to remember that Joe Biden on day one canceled the Keystone XL pipeline, which could right now be providing 830,000 barrels of oil a day to this country and to Canada. And then that first week, he said, you know what, no more permits for drilling on federal lands and waters. We are using fewer acres of federal land and waters than we have since World War II. That is remarkable.
Yeah, and I always talk about, because I've covered this for a long time, Congressman, about the investment that needs to be made for these projects to move forward and the long timelines as well, anywhere from 6 months to 18 months or 2 years for a project. Right now, one of the consequences that Americans are suffering, high prices at the pump, is the lack of refining capacity as well, because there's so much demand out there for gasoline. For example, you are not going to get big oil companies to refurbish or build more refineries and invest in that part of the industry if you tell them that you're trying to make fossil fuels extinct.
Well, yeah, I mean, Joe Biden and the Democrats, I sit on the Oversight Committee, and we've had hearing after hearing where they just excoriate the American energy sector and they demonize them. And then in the same breath, then Joe Biden goes over to Saudi Arabia and begs them to increase their production, and is also, you know, he reached out and had sent overtures to Venezuela. Why are we dealing with these mini Putins? Why don't we just unleash the American energy sector?
Yeah, well, one of the things that really gets me, you know, is with respect to the policy, and then in the other breath that you're mentioning, he tells the American people that big oil is price gouging. Big oil is manipulating the market, that big oil should just, you know, bring prices down. And if you understand the industry, you know that it doesn't work that way. And for many years, people have speculated as to whether big oil was doing that. There's never been any proof of any of it. It's no different when oil is $25 a barrel or oil is $80 a barrel.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it's a commodity. The more oil that's being produced, then the energy prices will go down. And the less that's being produced, they will go up. And Joe Biden is doing everything he can to throw a wrench into the system. So unleash. And by the way, if you're an environmentalist too, Jackie, it's safer for the environment in this planet, for the Americans, our energy sector, to be drilling and exploring.
Right.
Because we have, a powerful environmental lobby, and we have an independent judiciary, and we have expertise in this field.
Well, and into our technology process, the process of developing the technology over the years as well. As you mentioned, we're turning to the dirty producers for resources when we're the cleanest producer probably in the world at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look at over the last 20 years, this country has reduced our emissions more than any other nation. And yet China has increased their emissions by 300% over that same period of time. So where's the American left, protesting China and demanding that they get their act together?
Yeah, and when you look at OPEC and OPEC Plus, Saudi Arabia, I mean, it actually is kind of amazing when you see them watching this whole situation. They watch this administration put handcuffs on big oil in this country. They see our production fall. They certainly watched it rise and felt the impact of that overseas. And everybody expected OPEC and OPEC Plus to take advantage of this moment in time. I'm not really sure what the president was so confused about.
Yeah, and then what is Joe Biden's solution right before the election? We had the Strategic Petroleum Reserve had 695 million barrels in reserve under President Trump. That was an all-time high.
Yeah.
And now it's at 392 million barrels. So it's a 44% reduction. And, you know, it was artificial. It was just a Band-Aid on an arterial wound, really.
And by the way, they count that million barrels coming out of the SPR every day as production. They add it back in to say we're at record production, which is completely, just absolutely false and untrue. Congressman, good to see you this afternoon. Wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving.